beating the Packers. It's more about Green Bay as they go and take on Philadelphia, and we'll get to that throughout the course of the week. But I do think the Bears have the distinction, finishing 5-12, of being the most fascinating, awful NFL team and franchise in the league. And there's hope, there's talent, and I don't think there's any answers, and nobody trusts the team to get it right. Caleb Williams is the centerpiece. He can be dynamic, but his accuracy, he holds onto the ball too long. Sometimes he looks like he's just fishing for the big play. Those are all the criticisms of Caleb Williams at USC. Pro scouts nailed Caleb Williams. They loved his talent, but they questioned his accuracy and trying too often to make the big play. But yet, the organization is even a bigger problem than Caleb Williams, who really isn't a problem. He's the solution if you could get the right coach. I mean, Caleb had his offensive play caller fired, and then his head coach fired, and they use more offensive line combinations than any other team, and they play the second toughest schedule. And they're in a division, in my opinion, which is the best division in the NFC and the best coached division in the NFC. So even though I have Caleb's talent, and by the way, since week 12, he had the same number of touchdown passes as Patrick Mahomes and more than Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. So you can see the talent, you can see the flaws, you can see hope and optimism and reason for improvement. But does anybody on the planet trust the Chicago Bears to get it right? I'm just hearing about their interview process and some of the people coming in, and I honestly, it is everything I was told before the draft that Caleb Williams and his family were concerned about. Can they get it right? It's hard enough for rookie quarterbacks. You can see what a value Sean Payton is for Bo Nix or what Cliff Kingsbury is for Jaden Daniels. We all know, as good as a quarterback is, Mahomes, Andy Reid makes him better. We know that when Brian Dable and Brady are with Josh Allen, it was better than the alternatives. I don't know if they can get it right. I mean, the Bears have become like reality television. You can't take your eyes off it, but you feel sort of guilty for watching it. I'm watching them. I'm fascinated. I kind of thought the win was cool. I think Caleb's going to be better, but this is, John Elway and Eli Manning said, we're not going to our franchises. Caleb Williams, deep down, I think he wanted to. This is not sourced. I think he was concerned about Chicago. I know there were family members who were, but he didn't want to make an issue out of it, and so he's put his head down. After the game, he once again says the right thing for a tire fire of a franchise.
Being able to actually be here and come out with the win, being able to be here and play on this field, being able to be here and, see the history between the Bears and Green Bay and come out with the win the way that we did. It was great. It was awesome. Great moment, and I can't wait to keep growing and keep having more of those moments.
Yeah. Listen, the question is, how should we view his rookie season? It was a learning experience. They did have a brutal division. I don't know why he's trying to act like, oh, it's the best division in in the NFC. I mean, it's one of the best divisions in the entire NFL. Like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? It was a gauntlet. It was an absolute gauntlet. There were no easy wins. There was no gimme wins. There were no New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, Carolina Panthers, Saints. Those teams were not there. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the Raiders, like they didn't get to kind of refine themselves in divisions like that. I know they played a couple of those teams, obviously, but they didn't have that. And this team was a disaster. The coaching is a disaster. Right now, this team reminds me of very similar to the Dallas Cowboys in terms of how it's run. There are powers that be who seemingly don't want to hire a great coach because they don't want to lose some power or lose their power altogether. That's what it lands to me. That's what it lands to me. And that's why in that situation, I'm kind of like, man, you almost do need like a Pete Carroll or a Mike McCarthy. It sounds like based on what I'm hearing, Vrabel is just not going to be in Chicago. It seems like he's pretty much going to be going to New England Patriots. That's why they fired Gerard Mayo and all of that. Seems like that's going to be the case there. Rex is going to be going to New York. And, I guess they're going to be considering Pete Carroll, Ben Johnson to a degree, and Mike McCarthy potentially if Mike McCarthy gets let go. Which ironically, I had mentioned like a month ago, and people made fun of me and said, oh, you just expose yourself as not knowing what you're talking about. Mike McCarthy, what a joke. And now the Chicago Bears are interviewing Mike McCarthy. So, pretty funny. Pretty funny how that works out. But yeah, listen, I think that there's a lot of potential for Caleb Williams. The talent is obviously there. The special is obviously there. The resiliency, his ability to be resilient is obviously there. This season was so brutal for him and the team as a whole. If you get him better coaching, you get him stability, things could really be different for this team and Caleb. They really could be. But it was just one thing after the other. Not only does he need to actually be developed from like a fundamental aspect, he needs to learn and grow and evolve as like an actual mechanical robotic quarterback, but also needs a coach who can scheme and play call, who can actually put, even the product of who Caleb is today in a position to succeed. So that's kind of where things, from my viewpoint, also really went wrong. He needs to develop. He needs to evolve and become a better actual fundamental quarterback. But then he wasn't with an offensive mind who, even with Caleb's, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is his maximum potential. Right now, and these are made up numbers. Let's say he's a 5. He needed at the very least an offensive coach, whether coordinator, head coach, whoever, who could at least know, okay, I know how to put this number 5 in a position to succeed. They did not have that. And they also did not have the coach who could say, okay, well, you know what? I don't know how to put a 5 in a position to succeed, but I know how to get this 5 to a 7 or an 8. That's the problem. That was the problem. So you didn't really get the development. So he wasn't able to improve. You didn't have a coach that could put him, meet him where he's at to put him in a position to succeed. We saw that with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. We saw that with Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury. We saw that. We did not see that with the Chicago Bears. Sean Payton was able to take Bo Nix at a 5, put him in a position to succeed, and also bring that 5 up to an 8. We saw that. Cliff Kingsbury knew exactly what to do with Jaden Daniels from the jump and allowed him to develop and evolve as a quarterback without a doubt. None of that was offered for Caleb. None of it. None of it. And these things can take time. So I think ultimately the biggest takeaway from this season is it was just a massive learning experience. A massive welcome to the NFL. But yeah, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, it's a little unsettling because you have to maybe feel to a degree, does the ownership want to make the necessary decisions that need, the powers that be for the Chicago Bears, the people who truly at the end of the day are actually making the decisions? Because you never really know, honestly. You never really know. It could be someone's wife for all we know. Seriously, you just never actually know how decisions get finalized when you're talking about some of these things. And believe me, it ends up being a lot weirder than you could ever imagine. As we saw with the New York Jets, where they have a son being like, oh, the Madden, whatever, his rating or grade. Like that stuff is real. That stuff is real. And I'm not saying that's necessarily what the Bears are doing, but things get messy, man. Things get messy. We know this. You probably have experienced this many times in your life. A lot of people who have a lot of money and power are not necessarily the smartest and don't necessarily deserve it. They just find themselves in great situations. And so, it's totally fair to question whether or not the Bears will actually do what needs to be done to put this team in a position as a whole to succeed, let alone just Caleb Williams. You know, the best thing that at least the Dallas Cowboys have going for them is that, say what you will about Jerry, he's obviously not perfect, but he does know how to put together teams. He has put together many teams over the years. Drafts very well. Definitely hires coaches that he can control and how he can be the star, which does limit the Dallas Cowboys. He holds on to players a little too long and pays them. He's loyal. I'll give him credit. But he does know how to build teams. He has built multiple rosters that have obviously had a lot of success. So it's like, at least that's the silver lining for the Dallas Cowboys. There is still that chance. The Chicago Bears, on the other hand, it's like, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So, I continue to be excited to see what decisions they make and where they go from here. But I think it's okay to accept that this season as a whole was a mess, that the future is truly and genuinely unclear and murky. But there's still, at the end of the day, you should still have legitimate optimism for Caleb Williams and what he can become and evolve as a quarterback in the NFL. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears? How do you think we should view his rookie season? And what do you think the expectations are moving forward? And what do you think the Chicago Bears will do moving forward? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.